My wife aborted our baby because of astrology. I, 32M, have been married to my wife for 5 years now. We've always had a pretty good relationship with a few ups and downs here and there, but nothing too serious. We both have stable jobs and we're ready to take the next step in our lives, having a baby. My wife had always been into astrology and tarot cards and things like that, but I never really paid much attention to it. I thought it was just a harmless hobby. Boy, was I wrong. About 3 months into my wife's pregnancy, she started acting really strange. She would constantly be checking her horoscope and consulting with astrologers online. I tried to talk to her about it, but she would just get defensive and say that I didn't understand. Then one day, she came home from an appointment with a spiritual advisor and told me that our baby was going to be born under a cursed astrological sign. I was shocked and confused. How could she believe something like that? She said that the advisor had strongly recommended that we terminate the pregnancy to avoid bringing a cursed child into the world. I was devastated. I begged her to reconsider, to think about this rationally, but she was adamant. She said it was the only way to protect our family. Long story short, she went through with the abortion. I was heartbroken and felt completely powerless. I couldn't believe that my wife would make such a life-changing decision based on something as ridiculous as astrology. Our relationship has never been the same since then. I can't help but resent her for what she did. I know I should try to move on, but it's just so hard. I wonder if we'll ever be able to have another child, or if this experience has ruined that for us forever. In the weeks and months following the abortion, I tried to talk to my wife about it, to try to understand her thought process, but she would just shut down and refuse to discuss it. She seemed to be in denial about the whole thing, as if she was trying to convince herself that it was the right decision. I, on the other hand, was a wreck. I would lie awake at night, replaying the events in my head, and wondering if there was anything I could have done to stop her. I felt like I had failed as a husband and a father. To make matters worse, my wife's obsession with astrology only seemed to intensify after the abortion. She would spend hours poring over charts and consulting with various experts, always searching for some kind of sign or omen that would validate her decision. I tried to be supportive, to be the voice of reason, but it was like talking to a brick wall. She was so deeply entrenched in her beliefs that nothing I said could sway her. Occasionally, I would catch her staring off into the distance, a pained expression on her face. I knew she was thinking about the baby, but she would never admit it. It was like she had built this impenetrable wall around her emotions, shutting me out completely. Our sex life suffered, our communication broke down, and we spent more and more time apart. I felt like I was slowly losing the woman I had married. Sometimes, I wonder if things would have been different if I had been more proactive, if I had tried harder to convince her to reconsider. But then, I remember the look of determination on her face, the way she refused to listen to reason. I don't think there was anything I could have done. The guilt and the grief have been overwhelming at times. I've sought out counseling, but it doesn't seem to help. The pain is just too deep, too raw. I know that I need to find a way to move on, to forgive my wife and myself, but it's so hard. This experience has left me scarred, both emotionally and psychologically. I wonder if we'll ever be able to have another child, or if this experience has ruined that for us forever. The thought of going through something like this again is just too much to bear. Following the abortion, my wife and I were growing apart. Our whole life was taken over by the tragedy of this event, which turned our home into a place of silence and hidden suffering. In spite of trying to forge ahead, there was still this sense that everything had been lost, or rather thrown away without remorse. The woman I used to share an intimate relationship with had become strange to me. My spouse had practically banished me from her life because she obsessed over astrology, such that every effort of making meaningful conversation with her proved futile. She would be on phone or computer seeking advice from astrologers, reading horoscopes, looking for spiritual lessons, among others. It seemed as though physical reality didn't mean a thing to her anymore. Our friends and family commented about it to us, but we became very good at evading their inquiries. Revealing what was really going on between us was something that I found difficult to do. It felt too private, too painful for external people's eyes. On the other hand, my wife started isolating herself more and more as she began shunning social functions and family gatherings. As we continue to navigate this journey, I hold on to the hope that we can come out of this stronger and more resilient, and that one day We will be able to welcome a child into our lives with open hearts and minds, free from the shadows of the past.